in, which happens from time to time. But I'm glad you're here with us. Type in where you're from so we can kind of see where everybody's from. Looks like we got a good crowd in here tonight. It's great to have our special guest with us, John Knowles. John, thank you so much for being here.
So glad to be here. This is going to be fun.
It is. I can already tell it's going to be a great night. I'm seeing some of you typing in where you're from. I see Wisconsin, New York, Petersburg, West Virginia. Anybody from overseas? Virginia? Abilene, Texas? Come on.
Yeah.
Texas, I'm from San Antonio. John's from
Waco.
Waco. Yeah. Go Spurs, go. That's all I have to say about that. Fort Wayne, Indiana, Lisbon, Portugal. Welcome, Pedro. Glad you're here. It's going to be a wonderful night. This is our fingerstyle month, so I wanted to focus on fingerstyle this whole month of May. So that's what we're going to be talking about. All kinds of fingerstyle resources and things, giveaways and whatnot. If you want to be a part of our giveaways, you need to be logged in through ustream.tv. And that way we can see you in the chat. You don't necessarily need to chat, but you need to be logged in so we can see you in the chat, and then we'll pick winners from that. And we'll give away some fun stuff tonight. We're giving away some of John's publication, FingerStyle Quarterly, giving away CD. We're giving away an Epiphone acoustic guitar pack from the good folks over at Epiphone. So it's going to be a great night. To get us started off, John, can you play us something?
All right. I think I'll start us off with a tune I learned from Chet Atkins, but it's one that Jerry Reed wrote called Bluefinger.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Isn't that a great tune?
Beautiful, beautiful. And that was in E? That was in key of
That's
E?
in key of E. It's got that bass line and the other melody that works against it.
Yeah.
It's like kind of classical, but not with classical groove and feel. You know?
That's right.
And in the middle, there's that kind of thumb-picking thing.
Yeah.
So very Nashville.
Yeah.
Very Nashville.
Very Nashville. John, how did you get started playing guitar?
You know, I had an uncle who played, and that was kind of the first time I was around it. And then I took some of my paper route money when I was about 11 and bought a ukulele at the drugstore, really. And kind of taught myself, you know, a little booklet that has 3 chords. It wasn't enough for me, you know. And I'd had accordion lessons, so I knew some things about music. And then I started buying records. I bought Les Paul records back when that was Les Paul and Mary Ford.
Yeah, yeah.
And within a couple of years, I found Chet Atkins, and it just really hit me. So I spent a good chunk of time trying to figure out what Chet was doing. Along the way, I took some guitar lessons in a local music store from
the
Mel
Houston?
Bay. This is in Houston, Texas by now.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the Mel Bay books, you know,
Mel
the
Bay
ones.
series,
Well, back then he had a double-breasted suit on. You know. And you remember, this is the pick. You know,
That's right. Come on.
And it was, you know. And then in high school, I ended up in a little trio that played in a Hawaiian restaurant, and no book, so we learned the songs by ear.
Mm-hmm.
But during the day, I was playing bass in the high school jazz band, so learning to read and be in a group.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of music going on that from when I started all the way off to when I headed to college. And then when I headed to college, I went in and I asked them, I said, can I major in music? And they said, oh, no, you play the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
This is 1960, you know.
Yeah,
so
this is
no guitar program.
At TCU.
At Texas Christian University in Fort Worth. And so I majored in physics and mathematics because I was kind of good at that, too. And really became an amateur player for about a decade. That is, I did my homework, I went home at the end of the day, and I played, still as intently as ever. So I was what I would call a professional amateur, you know, really working hard at it. And worked at Texas Instruments for a couple of years, and then decided that I'd I'd slipped up somewhere following my own dream.
Yeah.
And so Becky and I kind of talked it over, and our son was about a couple of weeks old, I guess. I quit my job, and I went and started teaching lessons
Big decision.
at a music store. And within about 4 years, I'd met Chet.
Yeah.
He came through town, and I met him when he played with the Dallas Symphony.
Mm-hmm.
And we just hit it off.
Mm-hmm.
And so first correspondence, and then later a trip to Nashville, and before long, we were really collaborating on stuff. So.
Yeah.
And then at a certain point, you say, maybe I should live in Nashville instead of Dallas. You know?
Well, I was just going to say, when did you move to
So
Nashville?
that was 1976. And by the time I moved, Chet had recorded some of my arrangements, including one of The Entertainer,
Right.
that won a Grammy for Instrumental
That's
of the
his
Year
famous
that year.
arrangement. I guess it wasn't his famous, or your famous
Well,
arrangement.
it's one of those things that made me think the music business was more straightforward than it really is. Because if you just kind of step in at the front of the line because of Chet, and then you realize, oh, well, that was a fluke.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But it's still a great town. There's so many great musicians, but also the whole creative community here. Because I've learned from writing for dancers, from playing for film scores, all kind of things that you would never find in the typical city, I think.
Yeah. Eventually became friends with Chet and worked together on many things. Jerry Reed as well, you've played with?
Yeah, I met a lot of players because of Chet, because everybody
Knew Chet. Yeah.
And I wrote a tune after I met Chet for Jerry Reed, hoping he would record it, called Red Hot Picker.
Mm-hmm.
And he recorded it. And so after that, and now I was teaching at this time at the music school that wasn't part of Vanderbilt yet, Blair School of Music.
Blair School of Music.
And it was about 4 doors down from Jerry's office. So I would go down there and hang out. And I decided to ask Jerry if I could write a book of how he played. And I thought I got a resource. Chet, I had to figure it out from the record. I'll just ask Jerry.
Yeah.
So Jerry says, well, did Chet show you how he do his stuff? I said, well, no, I was living in Texas. He said, well, then I ain't showing you either. You figure it out, and I'll tell you if you're right. So I sat down just like I did before with the records. So Bluefinger, I had to work it out, and the claw and all that. And then I played them for Jerry, and he said, well, I'll be damned. So it's a really fun working relationship. I think Chet's kind of a mysterious figure. He doesn't talk much, but Jerry's just like we've all seen him in the movies and so forth.
Yeah. And you've played with many classical players as well. I saw that you had worked with the Romero family.
I met the Romero family while I was still in Dallas because there was a good classic guitar scene. And that's when I really studied the classic guitar for a while. So my technique now, if the classical guys see me, they think, you look classical, but not quite.
Yeah.
If the fingerstyle guys see me, they think, oh, he looks classical.
Yeah.
So I'm out there in the middle somewhere, but I've really benefited from all the ways I've tried to learn how to play. But today I realize that I'm a hodgepodge of all those techniques and musical styles.
Now, when did you kind of start to hone in on the nylon string guitar? Because that's kind of your thing now.
It really is, and I went through at one time. I owned the Orange Gretsch and a Gibson Birdland, and played. That's what I was really playing when I gigged around. And when I quit gigging, I kind of picked up at first a Gibson nylon string.
Yeah.
It was just sounding good around the house.
Which is
And
probably a Chet Atkins model of that nylon string. Was it at that time?
But that was later.
That was later when they...
So when I'm still in Texas, there's no model there's no electric classical yet.
Yeah.
Well, there was. Gibson had a version of that one that had a pickup like Charlie Bird played,
Okay,
but
yeah.
I didn't have that. I was not that uptown yet. One of the first things when I came to town, Chet says, you need a pickup. Nobody can hear you. So he gave me a guitar that had one of the Prismatone, the Baldwin pickups in it, that he was using at that time, so I could be heard.
Yeah.
That was the kind of guy he was. It was not just the generosity of like giving me that guitar. It was the generosity of giving me advice and counsel, and I saw him do that over and over and over.
Yeah.
He was, of course, he was my guitar hero, but he was just a good guy.
Yeah. Everyone that I've come across that has been part of his life speaks exactly the same way.
Yeah. Pretty consistent. He really was Chet Atkins.
Yeah.
As Jerry Reed said, well, he is Chet Atkins.
What guitar are you playing through today?
This is one made for me by Kirk Sand. And Kirk is the one who designed the second generation of the Gibson nylon string back when it was thin but hollow.
Yeah.
And he made that for Chet. And I had one of those for a while. And recently I got out my good old classic guitars that are thick and rosewood and all that, and had him study one of those, and so make a cutaway. The neck is a little less, it's 2 inches like a classical, but it's a little less wood in back, and a little bit of radius to the fingerboard,
Right.
and a tall fret.
Yeah.
So I can do that coming and going, you know.
Yeah.
It's real. So it's set up like an electric in some ways. Barbera pickup.
Barbera pickup. And then what are you running through as far as a preamp?
This
down
is
here?
an acoustic image preamp, and it's really an amplifier, but I'm using it kind of as a direct box today. But I've got some little chameleon speakers that John Buscarino makes if I'm traveling around and need to be heard live.
Sounds fantastic. I hope it sounds great out there.
Yeah, we hope so, don't we?
On in your world, just a great setup. Boy, Kirk, it makes some fine instruments.
He and I have watched each other for maybe 25 or 30 years. So when he sets something up for me, he knows, and he's a player too, so he knows players.
Yeah.
So everything about this guitar is me. I love that about it. You know?
Well, it's a beautiful instrument. One of the things that you have been such a resource to those of us learning fingerstyle guitar is with arranging. Talk a little bit about your approach to taking a normal song, taking a melody, and adding chords to it, but not just chords, because that's what everybody does, but you add all these wonderful little lines and little phrases that are going in between.
Well, I tell you, there's another thing I put in that I learned from hanging around Nashville songwriters, and that is if I'm doing a tune that's got some words, I learn the words. Chet told me to do that, you know, and it gives you a way of knowing what the story through the song is.
Yeah.
I remember when Katrina came and
Yep.
blew away New Orleans. Our daughter had just moved there, so we had visited, and I heard, "Do you know what it means to miss New Orleans?" So all of a sudden, we were all missing it because it was gone. You know.
Yeah.
So I went to iTunes, and I remember finding Louis Armstrong.
Yeah.
And it was a live recording, so the piano player was kind of playing while Louis talked. You know. So, but the piano player was doing this. Did that for like 5 minutes in different little variations. So I kind of learned how to do that, and then I changed it to sound a little darker because we just had that storm. So now. So, and everything's kind of, as Lenny used to say, you're never more than a fret away from a good note. And I would say New Orleans was at least a fret away from where it used to be. You know, so I'm sliding into things and putting notes that are a fret away from the ones you expect. And so it's the story of New Orleans, what I know about music, the feeling I had from having my daughter go through that.
Yeah.
It's the whole world of that. And when you talk to songwriters, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to capture somebody's world, not just rhyme some words and
right.
come up with a tune and so forth. So that all that stuff is a big piece of it for me. And I've learned that more than anything else from being around the entire creative community here in Nashville. There's something else I was doing there, that first A chord. I remember doing this early on. You know, everybody learns A. And the thing is, it's got a pair of A's in it. So who needs two A's, right? So very often I'll make that other A a B.
So you're ending up kind of with an A2
Yeah,
sort of a chord.
so it's, and then to slide into it. And this is, everybody does this, but I do it, and that's the 9, so you get the 9 plus the augmented on the.
Just twist the ear a little bit differently.
Yeah. Always looking for something that is not ordinary, and I found that not ordinary stuff, you know, way back in the beginning when I learned D chord. I would ask myself, what would happen if I did this or this?
Just moving one note. That's one of the concepts that we've talked about several times. Is just taking a chord, experimenting. The wonderful power of experimenting. Just you and your guitar figuring out, if I move my finger this way, it changes the sound this way. I'm controlling this. And a very important concept. Instead of just saying, oh, here's a D chord, that's what a D chord is. To take some time, even in your own practice time, maybe the last 5 minutes of your practice time, just to experiment around on your instrument. Move a finger here and there. Figure out how these notes are connecting together. That's part of you'll be amazed at what kind of magic you'll stumble across.
You know, Steve, what I do too is, and I started doing this early on, and now I realize it was a big deal. if we're going back to when I started, that was 60 years ago. This is my
Wow.
60th guitar birthday
Amazing.
right now, So I still remember what it was like to go da dee da and kind of sing those notes. And if I raise that one a half step, da da da
Mm-hmm.
da dee 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 dee
Mm-hmm.
dee 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 dee. And what happened along the way is I got to where what I could sing was a way of putting what was in my ear kind of out in the room.
Yeah.
And so my fingers and my ear and my voice were all coming together.
Yeah.
So that now, after years of doing that, if I'm here
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to put my finger here, I know it's going to sound like that.
Yeah.
From having done that so much. It also means I'm pretty terrible if you give me a bizarre tuning, because none of the notes are where my ear expects
where
it. It's
your
not
ear
just my
expects them to
fingers.
be. Yeah.
My ear doesn't think they're going to
Yeah.
be there. Drop D, yeah. Everything else, up for grabs.
One of the things that we wanted to do tonight, which is just one of the advantages, we've had so many great players come through here in over these different live lessons, but it's rarer that we get the combination of a great player and a great educator at the same time. One of the things that John wanted to do, and I just think it was fabulous, is to kind of show a little bit of a couple of tunes. So if in the thread on our discussion board for this lesson, I put up, there's 4 different links there. Fabian, maybe you can put these up. Thank you. Gosh, Fabian, you're already ahead of me. Putting up the links, there's 2 songs that we're going to try and get to. This first one that we're going to try and do is a song called Bossa Crescente, which is a variation of House of the Rising Sun. So if you haven't downloaded that already, go to those links. Thank you, Fabian, for putting that up. You can just download the music. We've got the music written out, chord blocks, and a sample of that bossa rhythm. In fact, might as well probably do that while we're here talking about that.
Well, you mentioned being an educator. I think every guitar teacher, after a while, goes to bed at night praying they will never hear House of the Rising Sun or Stairway to Heaven again. And so this is one of those songs that I thought really needed to be reworked. And I think the way everybody plays it would be A minor, then C, and D, and then F.
Right.
That's kind of the Animals record that we're used to hearing.
I watched that version.
So what I did was, first thing I did was I just took those chords and took the bass line down. There could be a G in a C chord, and there could be an F sharp in a D chord, and there could be an F down low. So, and then when I went back and did them bossa, that bass line is still there. So this didn't just kind of pop out of the sky all at once.
Yeah.
I was already playing around with it, and then I was at a camp, and there were actually 2 teachers saying, what if we had taught each other's classes? And the bossa teacher said, what if I had taught your class to the party guitar teacher? So he started playing, bossa chords to this, and he didn't quite do this, and I thought, I'm going to work that. So you see somebody, and you go home, and you do your homework. And so now what you've got is, if you play the chords that are there on the sheet, there is a house in New Orleans they call the rising sun. It's been the ruin of many poor boys, and Lord, I know I'm one. Then I put an extra 2 for a turnaround.
Yeah.
Then if you do that with a bossa feel, and so on, then you've got a whole different song. I've played this without telling people what it is, and they'll say, I've heard that before. What is that? It's well enough disguised, that it's a real tough name that tune moment, So
All of this is written out. We're gonna play it here in a second, but all of these chords and chord forms are written out on that sheet, which is free to download. So take a look at it. We'll play it. I'll try and keep up with you through it.
Yeah. Neither one of us has to sing, right?
No, I hope not. Goodness, I hope not.
amusements while you wait.
Well, something like that. There you go.
You know,
Beautiful.
the thing that's so fun, and tell me this is true, isn't it? You don't have to change anything about playing House of the Rising Sun.
Yeah.
Because these are really the same chords, just unusual voicings.
Yeah.
And unusual rhythm.
Yeah.
But if you just think about how to play House of the Rising Sun, it still
still
there.
works.
Yeah.
It still works. If you're interested, please download that PDF. It doesn't have every note that we just played, but it's got the chord forms and it shows you that bossa rhythm. And then I just put the rhythm to it. So there you go. Let's do a. Let me do before we get on and talk about that other song. I wanted to give away a few things and talk about some of the resources that we're doing for this evening. Garrett, do we need to take a break or can I keep going? All right. Good. All right. Let me tell you about a couple of resources, and then we'll take a break for promo and fix some things here on the set, and then we'll be right back. Let me talk about the resources for this month. It's Fingerstyle Month, so we wanted to feature the Fingerstyle course. I did a course, back last year. It's around October-ish of last year, a Fingerstyle course. Just kind of a basic Fingerstyle course, taking you through the steps necessary to kind of get control of your hands and to where you can learn how to play fingerstyle. It's quite different in approach from how you'd play blues or something like that in a normal electric setting. It's a 10 DVD course. Comes with a book as well that you can print out. It's a great resource. If you're interested in learning how to do fingerstyle guitar, check it out. Fabian, you've got a link for it there as well. Also, and then for our resources this month, I was thinking about what we could do for fingerstyle players. And gosh, one of the best resources that has been out for 10 years or more has been the Pumping Nylon series by Scott Tennant, great guitarist from the Los Angeles Guitar Quartet. Have you crossed paths with Scott?
Oh, yeah. I know all those guys, and I've taught at workshops with Scott. He's great to watch, and that book is through the roof good. I've
seen some of his videos. Now, the DVD, there's a DVD that comes with this, and it's a few years back, but gosh, it is entertaining, and his playing is just impeccable, and he's a good explainer of exactly what he's doing and exactly what you should be trying to accomplish in this exercise. Not just the notes, but I mean, what you're going after is this concept, and he's great at that.
You know, I think also that's one of those books I send people to if you already play a lot of guitar, but you haven't tried fingerstyle yet.
Yeah.
This is, I mean, some people will say, oh, no, that's too hard, too easy. It's just right. If you already know how to play and you want to get this going, it's amazing.
Yeah, this is the resource, and they have a regular book, and then they've got a couple of repertoire books with it. This complete version has all three of those resources in one book. So it comes with the Pumping Nylon book, the two repertoire books that are with it, as well as a DVD of Scott explaining the stuff, and then a CD of all of the songs that are played in the repertoire. It's a great resource, and we were able to make a good deal on it, which is $27.99. So it's a great deal. If you're interested in it, if you're interested in delving into classical guitar or fingerstyle guitar a little bit more, getting control of your picking hand, your fingering hand down here, check out these resources. Great stuff. It's the blue button underneath your Ustream window that you're watching us right now. There's a blue button there, and that'll get you to our monthly resources for that. For all of that. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and talk about John's resources, Fingerstyle Guitar Quarterly, and play a little bit more for you. We're going to give away some great stuff. So hang with us for about 90 seconds.
Legacy Learning Systems' Learn and Master line of courses features an exclusive multimodal learning process to build skills from the ground up. By utilizing 4 modes of learning, reading, listening, watching, and doing, even a complete beginner can follow this easy-to-use program of self-directed study. Building confidence and skills, our system allows the learner to progress through intermediate and advanced levels to full mastery. Each course contains between 12 and 22 DVDs of visual instruction, a full printed workbook, access to our online support community, as well as 3 to 5 audio CDs in our music courses, which include fully produced jam-along tracks. Learn in the privacy of your own home, at your own pace with the Learn and Master family of courses. Bring your dream within reach.
Hey there, Steve Krenz here, and I have some exciting news. We're finally finished with our brand new guitar course. You know, when we asked our students what they would most like to see from us next, it was overwhelming: fingerstyle guitar. So that's right, we've created fingerstyle guitar. Learn and Master Spotlight Fingerstyle Guitar is our newest addition to our line of guitar courses. This is the result of popular demand from our friends and followers, and I couldn't be more pleased with how it's turned out. You know, imagine sitting down with just you and your guitar and playing a solo fingerstyle arrangement of one of your favorites. You know, I created this course so you'll have the tools to do just that. We've got special guests, interviews, basic, intermediate, advanced lessons, and everything from traditional acoustic fingerstyle playing to arranging songs for solo guitar to classical jazz guitar, Merle Travis style picking with several stops musically in between. This is going to be a very thorough course, so get ready to take your guitar playing to an entirely new place. All right, we're back. Sorry, we got some technical difficulties. We got it worked out, though. If you guys have any questions, guys and gals, if you folks have any questions for John or for us as we're going along, type them into the chat, and our producer Garrett will put them up there as well. If you have a question, something pops up in your head, ask it. And that's one of the great things of doing this live. We can get it put up here, and we can answer them as we're doing that. We were talking about resources, and one of the things that John does that I have benefited from, gosh, you've been doing this for how many years, Fingerstyle Quarterly?
About a little over 20 now. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Over 20 years. John puts out a resource called Fingerstyle Quarterly, which, Fabian, you've got the link to that. Thank you for putting that up. It's a publication, comes out 4 times a year, and it's chock filled with songs in standard notation and tab. Comes with a CD along with it, too.
Well, as a matter of fact, the Bossa Nova stuff we were just looking at is the back page of one of the issues.
Right.
And the little MP3 they downloaded is one of the tracks off the CD that comes with that issue. So that's, you can kind of, and plus, I just talk through things like you and I are doing here.
Yeah.
When I saw you do this, and I thought, that's the Quarterly, except with Steve instead of John. Yeah, because I feel like it is a chance to share what I know. I was really lucky. For a while I was writing articles for Chet, for the guitar magazines, and then they changed hands and they quit the articles, and so I thought I'll start this so I can keep the conversation going. So that's kind of how I thought of it.
So many of these are great little arrangements, a variety of styles, a variety of skill levels. So there's things that are easier, there's things that are more advanced. And what I love about it, it's great for it of just the education. The MP3s, you're talking through it, just like John was doing there. Oh, okay, this is the chord I'm playing here. This is why I'm playing that, and this is why it works in this situation. It's a fabulous resource. Check it out. If you're interested in getting a great quality resource for teaching you fingerstyle guitar, check out John's publication, Fingerstyle Quarterly. I believe I saw a Chet Atkins quote on it. What was it? Chet Atkins himself referred to it as a chance to steal from the best. So there you go. We're going to give away this one that I'm holding in my hand.
It's got Bluefinger, I think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The tune I played earlier in the show.
That opened the show. Bluefinger is in this episode, or is in this one, as well as a CD. We'll get John to autograph the CD.
That's right. Well. The CD was one I recorded in Chet's basement back in the day. He would call me up and say, "Well, I'm free. What are you doing?" He didn't want me to worry about it, so he would call me at 9 o'clock to record it then, you know.
Someone is going to win this. It's going to be a lot of fun. The winner of this publication and the autograph CD is Great Great Dane. Great Great Dane. So if you are Great Great Dane, what you need to do is email us at service@legacyinstruction.com. service@legacyinstruction.com, and give us your mailing address and phone number, things like that, and we will mail this out to you. So congratulations. That's wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. Had a question.
I see lots of questions popping. Why does he hold the neck so high? You know, I know the answer to that question. I really studied the classic guitar for a while. So if you imagine, you know, the footstool with your leg up here,
Yeah.
that's kind of where I'm coming from. And it has a lot to do with having the right hand, the left hand and your arm free to move quickly up and down the neck.
Yeah.
And but also it positions my right hand to get a good tone.
Yeah.
So those two things. But now, I don't sit like a classical player all the time, although sometimes I do. But with a strap, I could stand up and have the guitar still be where it is. And I've looked, and I know it looks different than most people you see, but like George Benson plays this way. And he's not a
Very
classical
high.
guy,
Yeah, yeah.
but high and up, and you
High
know,
and up.
so. And I think there's something about the left hand and the right hand that are just good that way. I think everybody has to kind of find their own spot, and it has to do with the technique, but also the voice I'm trying to get, so that when my fingers hit the strings right, and how I'm trying to make the music. So there's a lot of little decisions that we all make,
Yeah.
and I want everybody to learn as much as they can, but ultimately be your own guide.
Yeah.
You know, take your own advice.
Yeah. Be aware of your own comfort as you're playing, as you're practicing. One of the concepts that I was fortunate to learn early on is just you play a lot, and so if you're not paying attention, you'll get hunched over, or you'll have your foot up and you'll have your back twisted at some sort of awkward position, and then you get up after playing an hour or two and you go, "Gosh, it's just killing me." Look at what you're doing. You're all twisted up. Be aware of the how your guitar is setting on your body and how you're playing it. You want the least amount of resistance in your body posture, so that your fingers can do what they need to do. Had a couple other questions. What still challenges John?
Well, when I work up an arrangement, it almost seems like, because I'm being guided by my ear as much as anything else, that there'll be something in almost every arrangement that I've never done before. And so an arrangement that I make up now may be 80% familiar stuff, but something that I have to figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
In a minute, when we come to Chicken in the Rain, I'll show everybody what it was that I'd never done before, that I had to figure out how to do, and how I figured out how to do it. That's the big thing. It's not just that it challenges you, it's that you want to spot a challenge and immediately sit down, like pull over to the side of the road, you know, and solve it. Figure out what's not happening, what you need to do to make it work through it slowly, and then see if you can integrate it into the tune so that it stops being a challenge. It begins to be part of the 80% then.
I just this week I heard this. 0.25. 0.25. That is the amount of time you have when you decide, when you've played something and you make a mistake. You have 0.25 seconds for the average person, whether you decide you're going to move on and not worry about it and blow off that mistake, or whether you're going to go back and try and fix it. 0.25 is the difference between a pretty good player and a great player, because a pretty good player will go, well, I botched that, but that's all right.
Yeah.
And a great player will go back, try and fix those things, try and figure it out.
You know, another thing that Chet told me, it was great to hear stories from him, but he said when he was a kid, his brother was on the radio. He was in Les Paul's trio. So he's listening to his brother, and so Chet puts a stick in the ground and puts a can on the stick and announces himself, because his brother has told him, you can't stop on live radio. So Chet announces himself and tries to play things all the way through, recovering. And he's like 12 or 13.
Yeah.
So he's already figured out that going on and living with what you just did, and letting the music pull you into the next moment, not your fingers.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about your fingers.
Yeah.
They care about the music.
That's right.
So.
And you want to let your fingers, you're teaching me this, John. You don't even know it, but you're teaching me this. As you're playing an arrangement, not to let your fingers be the guide, but let your mind be the guide of where you want your fingers to go. So the music is starting in your head. These lines, these ideas for lines are starting in your head, and then you try and figure out a way to make them come out through your fingers, rather than oftentimes we approach it the other way. Oh, I've got the melody, and here's just a convenient way for my fingers to play it.
Yeah,
And
that's like running a race and saying left, right, instead of keeping your eye on the finish line, you know.
Hey, we got one more song we wanted to show you all. There's a song. It's PDF is on the discussion board. A little song called "Chicken in the Rain." It's a little bit more advanced than the one we were doing earlier, and it's a short little piece. It's got the music and the tab to it. Kind of talk us through it, John. What are you doing on this
All right.
piece?
Well, this piece actually came out of an assignment to write short pieces for a column in Fingerstyle Guitar magazine. And so what I did is I pretended that I'd gotten the assignment from public radio, because you know how you have all the short pieces, between the stories. And so all the pieces have references. This one, Chicken in the Rain, combines the farm report with the weather report, all in one tune, And also the idea of like wet chickens was just so funny to me, And so that's where a lot of and then I tried to do that with unusual rhythms while I was keeping basically that Nashville, Merle Travis, Chet Atkins thumb. So there's places where you've got to, and if I look down there, it's like that second line, that measure 5. So you could almost make a little exercise to do that. You would do just the 5th measure. Oops, just had my little finger down. And you could make a little exercise out of just that if you're not used to doing, the alternating thing. That was the hard spot.
Yeah.
And then the other hard spot is in measure 9, 10, 11. I kept trying to come up with a middle section. And
See, that was the part that I was messing up when I was going through it today.
Yeah. And so what I had to do is I had to teach myself to hang on with my second finger, and then swap. What is that? 1 and 3.
Yeah.
Back and forth between the strings. So, and I'd never. That was so weird, but it kind of went with.
Yeah.
So that part is. The trick is anchor here and then get those other two going back and forth. And it was hard at first, but I knew that's kind of what I wanted to do. So you pull over and you practice it, And then I remember my wife telling me at one point, "It's not funny enough yet. Like it's not. I don't hear the chickens." So she said, "Why don't you start it with a big thud?" So the big thud is that first note, then, which is a kind of one of the old standby fingerstyle things, So
why don't you play it for us?
Chicken in the Rain.
Beautiful.
As I played through it, then I played that first section twice. I didn't mean to do that, but
No,
I guess I was having fun.
There you go. There you go.
Can't have too many wet chickens.
If you're interested in that, download that. That's great. That's a lot of fun.
Well, I would love it if all the fingerstyle players in the world learned how to play Chicken in the Rain. I'd feel like I had served my purpose on earth.
Good. Well, help John fulfill his purpose, for goodness sakes. Had a question. Asked John what his top 2 nylon string tunes to play are that an intermediate player can play.
Well, let's see. If I think about the ones that everybody kind of knows, I love still Windy and Warm, Chet's tune that John Loudermilk wrote for him. That's in A minor. And it's got the same time you got the thumb. the nice thing about it is you can learn that much and have a great time.
Yeah, yeah.
Then you like the next section. It always comes back to this. So it's got several little sections.
What's the name of that? Windy and
Windy and Warm.
Windy and Warm.
John Loudermilk.
Yeah.
And it's got, you can find it on the web. You can find the tab to it in several places. It's been published a lot, So get busy with the Google, and you'll find it. But it's a fun tune to play.
I wanted to give away one more of John's Fingerstyle Guitar Quarterly, and this one has a different CD. This is his Waltz Forever CD. Tell us about the CD.
This one, the other one, the Sitting Back Pickin', is a solo set. This one, I met a bass player in Vancouver, British Columbia, Renee Wurst. And he's like a studio player up there. And so we decided to do a duet record, but his wife is a great singer. So we've got her vocals on a couple of tracks. And we did the Bossa Cresente together, and she translated the lyrics into Portuguese. And so
It's beautiful.
Fun set for me.
John had given me both of these CDs, and they have been in my car. Just such gorgeous arrangements of Beatles tunes and other things. Lots of fun stuff on here. The winner of this one is I Am a Fingers. I'm a Fingers.
No, I am a.
It could
Right?
be. Yeah. Like the classical guitar finger notation. I'm a Fingers. You need to email us at service@legacyinstruction.com, and we will get this out to you. Send us your email address or your physical mailing address and phone number and whatnot, and we'll get that out to you. All right. Fantastic. Have a couple of questions that folks had posted on the discussion board that I wanted to get to. DJ Dave from Toronto asks about your thoughts on economy of motion, especially on your picking hand.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is with the right hand, I get these three fingers like snug, and sometimes they're almost touching, and sometimes they are touching.
Yeah.
So that they kind of know how to find the strings. So if my ring finger is on a string and my other two fingers are headed somewhere, there's going to kind of, just that little finger is going to kiss these two as it moves into place. So these three are really working like a team of horses that can do independent things also. So for instance, when I was doing the bossa stuff, the three are really together, and it's like one fat finger with three fingertips. And then other than that, I think I did things where you would go and just move your thumb with your fingers actually on the strings, so that you get good at finding the strings. Or here, move your fingers back and forth.
I don't know whether you can see this. Look at John's hand. There's some important concepts of playing well. His thumb is in front. A lot of times you'll have a tendency to back that thumb back, and then it gets in the way of the other things. Garrett, maybe you can get a shot of this. Notice how the thumb is in front, and that's just a little key. Look at your own hand. If you notice your hand and that thumb is too far back, it's going to get difficult for you to play.
You know, the other thing that I'm doing here is my hand, if you look at this knuckle right here, it's probably 2.5, 3 inches above the strings. I'm not playing real flat.
Yeah, you don't want to get that.
If you do that, then your fingers tend to move like this instead of like this. And I kind of want to move almost like I had a pet cat and I wanted to pet that cat.
Yeah.
And so I'm moving my whole finger, and the motion is really coming from the tendons and the muscles back in here. And it's interesting. There's a lot of strength, but I'm mostly coasting most of the time. It's like having a big engine in your car.
Yeah.
You don't have to hit the gas all the time. So.
And you want the pressure to be in your or the strength to be in your hand. You don't want your wrist to be having to exert pressure and stuff like that by being too far in or something like that. So you want this to be comfortable so that the fingers can do what they need to do when they're doing fingerstyle stuff. And I notice you don't have very long nails.
No, they look long from the front side, but from the back side, they're just kind of little crescents that outline the shape of the finger.
I'd say it's maybe about 1/8 of an inch. If you're looking, I don't know whether we've got a shot on it, but it's just about 1/8 of an inch, even on the thumb. It's not very long on that.
And I use that because I can play mostly flesh, or I can add nail.
Yep.
And it gives me a little EQ. It's the way I make melody stand out from accompaniment and so forth. So I spend a lot of time kind of try. In fact, to make my fingers sound alike, I would do.
He's
and
playing the
see each
same note. I don't
finger-
know whether you can see that, but he's
Just changing fingers, trying to
changing
make the
fingers.
note sound the same.
Yeah.
Because each finger's got its own set of tendons, and its fingertip, and the nails are all different. So you're trying to find out how to make these 3 fingers work as part of a team.
Do you
And
ever
your
use
ear
your pinky?
guides you.
Ever use your pinky?
I don't.
Yeah, it's kind of standard that you don't really
Yeah.
use pinky. In some flamenco things, you'll use your pinky. Again, I don't know why that is. It just kind of, it has a little bit less probably dexterity than the others, but I guess you probably could do it. But standard, you usually use your 3 fingers.
And over here on this side, there was a time early on when I had not seen any good players, that I was playing the guitar, and it looked like alligator wrestling, you know.
Yeah.
And I kind of went through, and I remember the first day there was a mirror in my dorm room, you know, and I looked at it and I say, what would I look like if it wasn't that hard to play? And I just kind of sat there and looked at myself doing this. Wasn't playing anything.
Yeah.
I thought, that's what it's supposed to look like in order to sound like
Yeah.
what I was hearing on the records.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of time learning how to kind of float from one thing to the next,
Yeah.
and looking for the finger that would help me guide to where I need to be next. So even if I'm going from here, there's always something kind of guiding the shape. I'm not trying to completely let go of shape 1 to get to shape 2. It's more like shape 2 morphs
Yeah.
out of shape 1.
And his thumb, I don't know, you can't really see on this angle, but the thumb on the back of his neck is fairly consistent. Wherever no matter what the pyrotechnics are going on the front, that thumb is about, halfway or 2/3 way up the neck, and it just kind of coasts on that line right there.
And
as
if
it's
the
coming
neck weren't
around.
there, you'd see that's where my thumb is. It's kind of
Yeah.
behind those middle 2 fingers. Now, occasionally, I'll do something where my thumb stays fixed and my hand might do
Yeah.
this, because that's a way to make an unusual move and come
Yeah.
back to where you were.
Yeah.
It's that, who's it, Yogi Berra's line is, if you come to a fork in the road, take it. And I think that is how you do guitar technique. Almost everything was, should I do this or that? And the answer is, you betcha. Because it all works sometimes.
We had a question. Don Cole, I don't want to put you on the spot here,
Yeah.
John. Don Cole from New Brunswick, Canada. One of your very famous arrangements is of Vincent and of Starry, Starry Night. Do you have a couple of bars of that?
Yeah.
Absolutely gorgeous.
It really helps to start with a song you love in the first place.
Yeah.
And then, in that case, finding the open D and playing it in the open sixth is to D, and playing it, because I heard Don McLean do, and that's as far as he could go down because he was in a different key. So I wanted to keep going. So that's what kind of led me into that.
Guitar playing, let me just ramble here for a second. Guitar playing is fun and pyrotechnics and all that sort of stuff. But there's also a wonderful side of guitar playing that is just making music, and it's sweet and tender and wonderful. And I would trade my pyrotechnics in a heartbeat to be able to get a sweet, sweet sound and be able to create music like that, bring music out of the instrument like that.
I think a lot of it too is temperament.
Yeah.
I'm just a mellow guy, you
Yeah.
know, and so I'm kind of drawn to these things that are that way. But then I also love spunkier stuff, you
Yeah.
know, and But I've never set myself on fire
Yeah.
in my 60 years.
May I ask you, how old are you?
So 71.
You are 71.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All of you guys, all of you folks out
Yes,
there
yes.
that might be thinking, am I too old? Am I too old to be able to do this? Am I just physically too old to be able to play well?
No.
No.
A lot of it has to do with, every morning when I wake up, I'm stiff like anybody else. And as I age, that little hour when I'm stiffer has turned into 2 hours, So I wake up and I shake my hands and have a cup of coffee and put some music on and just and really remind myself to loosen my shoulders and just kind of put myself back in my body.
Yeah.
And then the way I start the day on the guitar is and just remind myself that there's a certain effortlessness to it.
Yeah.
Now, that effortlessness comes from having built up the strength to be able to do it effortlessly.
Yeah.
But every now and then when I've been somewhere and somebody will say, can you give me a quick guitar lesson? And we don't have any guitars. I'll reach over and I'll say, this is all the harder my left hand is working.
Yeah.
And they'll always go, because they're so used to
Yeah.
grabbing it. And I'm trying to keep it to where only what's required.
Yeah.
And everything else, save it for later.
Can you still, I'm asking rhetorical questions. A lot of folks feel that as they age, they cannot learn as well. Just the mind is less elastic in that sense for learning.
Here's what I think, and this comes from both the fact that I have been 11 when I was doing this and 71 when I'm doing it, is at different ages, we have different things that help us learn. When I was a kid, I was full of confidence. I felt like I was bulletproof. I could do anything. I could ride a bicycle. I could do all this stuff, So you got that kind of learning, energy going for you. But as an adult, you're way smarter about the whole procedure. And you're much better at like setting time aside, at saying, I've got 15 minutes. I think what I'll do for 5 minutes is work on that one spot, and then I'll see if I can play that. And then for another 5 minutes, I'll work on a new tune. And for the last 5, I'll play that tune I love so I can finish loving the guitar. And that, kids can't do that,
Yeah.
I just kind of didn't do my homework instead, So, but at every age, I think it's important to know what's going to give for you. And also the thing that happens to your hands over time is we all use our hands as an extension of our personality.
Yes.
And one of the reasons I think my hands are still loose is I just have a kind of a loose approach to life.
Yeah.
If you're somebody who's been doing this a lot, or swinging a bat, or hoeing it, then your hands are more like this. And somewhere in there, you got to loosen and just let that be. Express yourself, I think, in a different way. But
We'll let John take a breath for a second. Wanted to get to a couple of things before we close out. Reading some of the wonderful comments down here. I'm 60, started playing at 59, having fun. I'm 64, another one says, soon to be 65, been studying the course since January. You're never too old to learn. Let me just tell you that. You're never too old to learn. Learn how to do new things as well. My wonderful dad, who's probably watching this right now, Dad, is practicing his guitar every day and trying to do new things. Keeps you fresh, keeps you alive. All right, a couple of closing announcements, and then we're going to give away an Epiphone acoustic guitar pack. All right. Our newsletter, we have a Learn to Master Guitar newsletter, and that came out today. Did we ever give away the second thing? Did we ever give away this?
I don't think we held it up.
We held it
yes,
up.
We
Did we ever give it away?
We gave it to IMA Fingers.
We did. Okay. All right. So, great. I missed a giveaway somewhere in here. I'll have to figure that. I'll figure that out here in a second. All right. Our newsletter came out today. If you're not on our newsletter list, Fabian, maybe you can put up our archive link, and you can get our newsletter. We put out a newsletter every month. I have a new video tip. The video tip for this month is the 30-minute practice routine. Just what you can do, what you should do if you've got 30 minutes. I have so many folks ask, write in or whatever. Here's my 30 minutes. What should I be practicing at this point? And I break it down. These are the elements that you should have in your practice routine of working on your technique, warming up, working on a little bit of technique things, applying that technique to a song, and then the importance of being creative at the end and just playing something that you love.
Absolutely.
At the end, so you can fall in love with your guitar as you're finishing it out. Anyway, wonderful resources in our newsletter. Our student of the month is Ben Bob. So, Ben Bob, thank you so much for being our student of the month. Ben Bob, one of the also things that we're doing, and Ben Bob started this, is our Learn to Master Guitar Recording Challenge. On the discussion board, we did this last month, and it was Bob Dylan songs, and everybody would just record a Bob Dylan song, throw it up there. Doesn't matter, if you're an advanced player or whether you're an intermediate player or just starting out, throw something up there. It's a good process for you to learn something, record yourself doing it, and then put it out there. That's an important part of being a musician. At whatever stage you're in, is the value of performing. So it's another opportunity to do that. This month, the recording challenge is Songs of the Road. So if any song that relates to the road in some sort of way, put it up on our discussion board in that thread, and then everybody will vote on and we'll pick a winner or something like that. And it's a lot of fun. Thank you, Ben, for starting that. It's a great thing. Looking forward to great things with that. Couple of guitar events we need to talk about. On next Tuesday, May 21st,
Yes.
you are doing a salute to Jerry Reed.
There's a bunch of us, and this started the first time maybe about 15 years ago or 20 years ago when he was still around. I wanted to show Jerry how many of us had learned to play his tunes. And so he was there for the first one, but now he's only there in spirit. And Richard Smith put this together. Richard was 12 or 13 when he was first hearing Jerry's music. But Tom Emanuel, Brent Mason, Tom Baresh, a bunch of players. And we're all just going to play some Jerry Reed tunes. Jerry's daughter, Sadina, is going to be there.
Wow.
And all for a good cause. It's going, I think, to Music Cares,
Yeah.
the Grammy thing that provides medical help to musicians.
Yeah. If you're in the Nashville area or feel like being spunky and driving to Nashville, it's at 3rd and Lindsley, which is a music venue here in Nashville. Fabian, you've got the link to that. This is next Tuesday night, which, by the way, we won't be having a live lesson next Tuesday, so it's a perfect opportunity. $12, I think it's the tickets to get in.
It's not much, yeah.
You'll see Tommy Emanuel, John will be there, Brent Mason, Tom Bresh, star-studded lineup from front to back, and it is sure to be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. We always have fun on Cherry Night.
Yeah. That's a great event coming up next
Keep
Tuesday.
your eye on YouTube, I would say. Somebody's going to capture some of these.
Oh, yeah. It'll be up on YouTube after it's over with. Next Saturday night, this coming Saturday, if you're in the Durham, North Carolina area, the Guitar Summit 2013, one-day Guitar Summit is happening out in Durham, North Carolina. A great one-day event. I think it's only $50 to get in part of the day. Our good friend Will McFarlane is part of that. Michael Rapole, Jonathan Dubose, lots of great players are part of that. So if you're interested in that, check out the Guitar Summit 2013 in Durham, North Carolina this coming Saturday. So there you go with that. Let's give away this Epiphone acoustic guitar pack. This is a good folks at Epiphone have given us this guitar to give away. It's the guitar, but it's not just that. It's an amp that comes with it and a strap and things like that. But it's a nice little practice pack that you can practice with. It's got a pickup in it and a little EQ and things like that. So the winner of this one is, unfortunately, these can only go to folks in the United States. Sorry, it's a customs thing. Can't ship them overseas. So the winner of this is Skip Disc. Skip Disc, you have just won an Epiphone acoustic guitar pack, and so glad you did it. Man, Skip, I hope you are in the U.S. If you're not, we're going to have a very uncomfortable conversation doing with customs and getting things shipped to various things. Anyway,
We'll send some quarterlies to Skip Disc.
there you go. So hopefully, Skip Disc, you can do it. Congratulations. Send us your information. You haven't won anything yet until you send us your information at service@legacyinstruction.com. Mailing address, phone number, things like that, so we can get in contact with you. All right. We will not be having a live lesson next week. I've got to be at an event for my son's graduation, and you've got to be at
the Jerry Reed tribute.
At the Jerry Reed tribute. So there you go. So we'll be on for the following week after that, which is May 28th, And I'm not sure what we'll do there. We'll be talking a little bit about, a lot of you have mentioned things about dealing with hand pain and finger flexibility issues and things like that. So we'll probably talk about that. We'll have an open talk, and I'm trying to work out another guest. We did the thing with Bob Wild from Visual Sound Pedals, and you folks just ate that up. So we're going to try and maybe do something like that with another person talking about gear and stuff like that. So I've got some ideas for that. Gibson Skills House, which is the white button underneath your Ustream window. We put lessons there every week. Not just one or two. We put probably 4 or 5 different lessons up over the course of a week over on Gibson Skills House. This week, I've got a new style lesson, I believe it is, on jazz guitar arpeggios, teaching you several different arpeggios for major 7th chords, minor 7th chords, dominant 7th chords, and even threw in a half diminished there for good measure. So that's a new lesson over there. I have another foundation lesson on kind of basic strumming technique. If you're around session 6 or 7 in the course, you're getting into strumming. Session 8 maybe as well. I have probably the most challenging power workout I've ever done over at Gibson Skills House, which is a 3-note on a string scales, which, man, if you're in the course, that's session 17-ish, and all the fun things you can do with those, and just connecting those all over the neck. Very challenging workout, power workout. And then we also have an artist interview over there as well. Some of the other guys are doing song lessons, and the song that they're putting up this week is Boondocks by Little Big Town, which Little Big Town is going to be at the Opry this coming weekend. So anyway, lots of good fun stuff over there. Check that out. That's the white button underneath the Ustream window. You can get to all of our lessons, all of our artist interviews and stuff we've done in the past with Russ Barenberg, Ron Block, all kinds of great guys. If you like our live lessons, please like us in the Ustream windows. That helps Ustream to realize what we're doing here. And tell your friends, if you have guitar playing friends, let them know that we do this every Tuesday night, most every Tuesday night, and it is a blast. Thank you all for being part of it.
Yes.
John, thank you so much for being part of this.
What a delight. This has been so much fun.
We definitely need to have you back.
Yeah, I would love to do it. I've had a good time.
You have been such an encouragement to so many of us over the years and even tonight, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
What are you going to play us out with?
Well, since we're talking about Jerry Reed, since I have my 6-string tuned down to D still, one of my favorites of his is this tune, Struttin'. Whoa. It has this weird chord at the front,
Wow.
which isn't anything until you do your little finger. and then to keep your thumb going, of course, like Jerry would. So, strutting. strutting.
Thank
Feels
you very
good,
much.
doesn't it?
Thank you very much, John. Thank you all for being a part of this evening with us. Have a great week. Keep working on it. Playing music is a wonderful thing. We'll see you next time.
See you then.